All right, aspirants, welcome. Today we are going to decode one of the most critical parts of your SSB journey, the picture perception and discussion test, or as we all know it, PPDT. We're going to break down exactly what you need to do to master it. So, let's start with the big one, the question that's probably on everyone's mind. Why do a whopping 80% of candidates get screened out in the PPDT? We're not just going to talk about why it happens. More importantly, we're going to figure out how you can land in that top 20% that makes it through. And here's our game plan to get you there. First, we'll understand why PPDT is considered the ultimate gatekeeper. Then, we'll get into the heads of the assessors to see what they're really looking for. After that, we'll do a live demo, decoding a picture together. And we'll wrap it all up with some crucial do's and don'ts, so you walk in there feeling confident. Okay, so what exactly is this PPDT? Well, think of it as the very first hurdle on day one of your SSB. It literally acts as the gatekeeper, and your performance right here in this test decides whether you get to stay for the next 4 days or you're heading home. You know, the test is actually in two parts. First, there's the story writing. That's where it's all about your individual perception. Then comes the group discussion, where they check out how you collaborate and communicate. And here's the kicker. You have to nail both parts to get recommended. Now for the really interesting part. Let's get into the psychology of it. A lot of people think you need to write some kind of award-winning fancy story, but that's not it at all. The assessors are using this as a tool, a psychological tool, to see what's going on in your head. They're trying to see, can you look at a confusing situation and see it clearly? Can you think logically, especially when that clock is ticking? And most importantly, do you have that positive, let's solve this attitude? It's all about showing your officer-like qualities through the way you perceive and react to the picture. Okay, enough with the theory. Let's get our hands dirty and do a practical example. This is where it all comes together. I'm about to show you a picture. It might be a bit hazy, just like in the real test, so get ready. All right, your 30 seconds start now. Just look at the image, try to absorb every little detail you can. How many people do you see? What's the background? What's happening? What's the vibe? Don't jump to any conclusions yet, just observe. So, in those incredibly short 30 seconds, your brain should be running this exact drill. It's a simple mental checklist, right? It helps you capture all the key information before you even think about starting your story. And this is how you turn simple observation into powerful perception. See, you're not just seeing a person on some animals. No, you're perceiving a central character who's in a serious crisis, surrounded by multiple threats. This perception is what becomes the heart of your story. Okay, so now that we've really analyzed the picture, it's time to build a story around our hero. And believe me, a good, logical story always follows a clear, simple structure. It's what makes it easy for you to write, and, just as important, easy for the assessor to understand. I want you to remember this super simple but powerful formula: past, present, future. That's it. This framework gives your story a logical flow, and it makes sure you hit all the key points, from the beginning to the end. First up, we have to establish the past. You got to explain what led to this crazy situation in the first place, giving your hero a name, an age, and a good reason for being there. Like Rohit here studying wildlife. It just makes the whole thing believable. It sets the stage. Next, we describe the present. Now, this part is pretty straightforward. You're basically just describing what we saw in the picture, right? The crisis itself. You're just laying out the facts of the situation that your hero is facing at this very moment. And finally, we have the future, and this is where you really get to shine. Look at what happens. Rohit keeps calm, he uses his trekking pole, he swings to safety. This right here shows key officer-like qualities: thinking under pressure, being resourceful, having courage. And then he even informs the forest officials. That shows responsibility. You see? You're showing these qualities through his actions. And that whole exercise leads us perfectly into some simple but golden rules for your story. Think of these as guardrails, right? They're going to keep you from making those common mistakes that so many people make when they're under pressure. So, the most important thing is to stay grounded. Keep it logical. Your story has to be believable. Show what the hero's like through what he does, not just by calling him brave. And please always, always steer your story towards a positive, constructive solution. Okay, let's wrap this all up. Let's talk about the single most important idea that I want you to take with you when you walk into that test. This is really the core philosophy of the entire thing. This right here is the absolute truth. The PPDT is not an art class. It's not a test of your imagination. It's a test of your thought process, your practical intelligence, and your ability to come up with a logical solution and explain it clearly. So, in the end, the question isn't just about what's in the picture. It's about what kind of problem solver you are. What story will you tell about yourself? Remember the frameworks, stay calm, and trust your training. You have the tools now. Good luck.